is so angry about the kind of purity of intention that it disgraces him. He's become beyond normal human concerns, that he's not in it for the money, he's not in it for the usual reasons. It's a commitment to a style, and a commitment to a way of life. There's a, for lack of a better phrase, a Zen quality to it. And the detective can't accept that. He can't, it's offensive at every level.
I read in an interview that you said that all of your films are like westerns, and this one, like obviously with the cowboy kind of like sort of thread, is like particularly like in that vein.
Well, one of my early theories, I don't know if I hold with it anymore, was that almost every good movie was a western, in one way or another. And I have several genuflex to westerns. I mean, for instance, the gun that Ryan uses at the end was a six-shooter, things like that.
Let's take some questions. Mr. Fantastic Four.
I don't think there's ever been a bad performance in a Walter Hill film. Did you talk about?
I can show you.
Did you talk about how you work with actors? Do you rehearse? What is it like working with them on set?
Well, the kind of films I do, usually you don't get much rehearsal time. And also, most of them don't lend themselves to rehearsal. A very old, wise director, when I was a young director, said, well, Bruce has already used the F word, he said, oh, fuck all that rehearsal. He said, you know, the only thing that ever happens when you rehearse before you do a movie is that the actors hate the script. They'll decide it's no good, because you just sit there and go through it. And that lack of rehearsal actually works in the director's favor, because they need you more.
Well, to this day, I give nothing away until the switch is on. Particularly with him, you don't go up to him and say, look, I thought I'd try this in the scene, that's immediate suicide. And I just always, have a little thing, and the worst that happens is they cut it and tell you you're an asshole, and that's the way I run. I'm not good at rehearsal, and I'm particularly not good at rehearsal in a room for a week before you ever go to the set and start working. And, I just keep coming back like I got my nose up his ass, and I probably do a little bit, but he is just a guy who came out of an era of knowing what films were that he wanted to do, and he had great admiration for the Hathaways and the Fords and the Henry Kings and the guys that made the great westerns and all the great other things. And he honed his skills right. He had to pay his time climbing the ladder, so to speak. And let's not forget, when the man was in high school, he played baseball with Bobby Grinch. And when this man was in high school, he ran a 418 mile. And Ronnie had a hit record out when we were doing this movie. So, and I was still trying to live down the incredible two-headed transplant.
There's no answer to the question again. A lot of directors feel that you never get a rehearsal until you do take one, and that's your rehearsal, and then you go from there. Since I only go about 2 takes, that's where Bruce wins and I lose, because I can't stand to do it too many times. So I become his prisoner. Thank God. Listen, 2/3 of directing is casting. So.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things, and this film is particularly that, but like I think your casting is amazing, especially in all of the kind of the secondary parts, because I don't think any other director casts people who look like criminals. I think your casting of like the sort of the gangs is amazing, and you know they're all got such amazing faces. And could you talk a little bit about the casting process?
Well, I really don't remember terribly on this film. We just ended up with a lot of weirdos. I'm talking about the gang guys. Ronnie, as I recall, came in, we met, we had a drink, didn't we, someplace?
We did. We met at a little bar in Beverly Hills.
That's right. And
Bar being the operative word.
and Bruce was, you know, an ideal choice. I mean, there wasn't anybody else that was, no, that's not true. Bruce knows this. There was one, the studio asked me, Ryan had come into the movie. A number of actors had turned the movie down. And Ryan said yes. And then it became about the detective. And the studio asked me if I would go to Robert Mitchum. And I did. And I went over to his little office, and he and I talked for about 6 hours. And he had this little refrigerator next to his, there was a little sofa set, one of those L-shaped things, and he had this little refrigerator. He kept frozen vodka, and he kept pouring. I was overserved. And he and I talked about the script for about 6 hours, and I thought he was going to do it. And then he called, said, too much car stuff, not enough money. And then we went to Bruce. And it worked out. I'll tell you the truth, I don't think, as much as we all admire Mitchum, but I don't think he had the energy for it, really. And, I was very happy.
Well, thank you. We all kind of sat at his feet for 3 weeks to listen to all the stories. We did a movie called That Championship Season together. And he played the coach, and he was kind of like, I'm glad he wasn't in the movie, not only because it gave me a job, but he'd have been a handful for Walter, because he was a gentleman, but he was proud of how much of a gentleman he was. And that caused problems, but not on championship season. He was wonderful. I mean, you look at Ryan's daughter, and that's about as good as it gets sometimes. But I don't know, it just, after watching the movie tonight, it all came back, what a magical experience it was, and I don't think there's a person in it. I mean, when you say, has there ever been a bad performance in a Walter Hill film? No, because he doesn't treat anybody like a small player or an extra or a bit player or everything, because he sees beforehand in casting these people flavors that he wants throughout his movie. You know, I mean, in Wild Bill, he's got little sheepish kind of David Arquette. Well, David Arquette is hardly sheepish, let me tell you. And you see that, and Walter sees all that. I mean, the thing I like, and that's the advantage of being on sets before you ever direct a movie. You see things, you pick up things. And he was around amazing kinds of things. And then all of a sudden he comes up and he does this and he does that and he goes on. And then they give him Eddie Murphy, and someday let him go off on Eddie Murphy with you, because Eddie Murphy's, he'll stand toe to toe with you, but he's funny. And you know what? He's funnier. because he'll wait about 3 exchanges and then he goes right for the juggler.